The bar on Station Z9 was dark and smoky. Most patrons kept to themselves, nursing drinks that glowed strange colors. In the darkest corner sat Krozek, his purple chitinous armor reflecting the dim light. 4 arms rested on the table, one holding a drink, the others ready to reach for weapons hidden across his body. A message flashed on his wrist device. Krozek's compound eyes narrowed as he read it. The payment offered was higher than any he had seen in his 30 cycles as a mercenary. Interesting, he muttered, his mandibles clicking. Krozek was a Dralaxian, a species known for their strength and tough outer shells. He had earned a reputation as the mercenary who never failed a contract. His kills numbered in the hundreds across 12 star systems. He tapped his device, accepting the meeting. 10 minutes later, a hooded figure slipped into the seat across from him. "Speak," Krozek said. The figure pushed a data chip across the table. "The targets are a human special forces team. 6 of them, operating on Erebus." Krozek picked up the chip with his upper right hand. "Humans? That's all. Not just any humans. They're elite warriors." Krozek made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Soft-skinned creatures with no natural armor. No claws. No venom." He clicked his mandibles dismissively. "Why such high payment?" "My employer has his reasons." The figure stood. "Half now, half when you bring proof of completion." After the stranger left, Krozek studied the information on the chip. The human team had been sent to Erebus, a moon with harsh conditions and constant electrical storms. Their mission details were classified, but they had been there for 3 weeks. The client wanted them eliminated and their equipment recovered. Simple enough, Krozek thought. The next morning, Krozek stood in a private docking bay, watching as his team assembled. He had called in the best mercenaries he knew, 6 killers from across the galaxy. Vlorn arrived first, a tall Meraxi warrior with gray skin and 4 eyes arranged vertically on his face. His species came from a high-gravity world, giving him incredible strength and speed in standard conditions. "This contract must be worth much for you to call me from retirement," Vlorn said, clasping forearms with Krozek. They had worked together for 15 cycles. "Enough to buy your own moon," Krozek replied. Next came Tick-Tix, an insectoid genius whose brain could process information faster than most computers. Her 6 spindly legs clicked on the floor as she carried various devices and weapons. "The payment is acceptable," she said by way of greeting, her translator converting her clicks and whistles into words. The others arrived soon after. Morokai, a reptilian tracker who could follow a scent across vacuum. Stren, a gaseous entity contained in a specially designed suit who could slit through the smallest openings. Deska, a Valkyrie assassin who could see across all light spectrums. And Yurgath, a hulking 4-meter-tall creature whose thick hide could withstand most weapons. A formidable team, Krozek thought with satisfaction. "Our targets are humans," he announced, displaying holographic images of the Special Forces team. 6 of them on Erebus. "We eliminate them and take their equipment." A strange silence fell over the group. Krozek noticed Vlorn shift uncomfortably. "Human Special Forces?" Vlorn asked, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence. "Are you certain this is wise?" Krozek was surprised. Vlorn had never questioned a contract before. "You fear humans?" Krozek asked with disbelief. "I respect them," Vlorn corrected. "I have fought many species across 3 spiral arms, but humans." He paused. "There are stories about their special forces." Tick-Tix's antennae twitched nervously. "The stories have statistical backing. Human elite units have a 78.3% survival rate when ambushed by superior forces." Deska's glowing eyes narrowed. "I once tracked a human soldier through the swamps of Nur. He kept going for 9 days with injuries that would kill most species." Krozek clicked his mandibles in annoyance. "Enough. They are just humans. Soft, weak creatures who need machines to fly and weapons to fight." "They are more than they appear," Vlorn insisted. "If you're afraid, leave now," Krozek challenged. More payment for those who stay. No one moved. Despite their concerns, the payment was too good to refuse. We depart in 1 hour, Krozek said. Bring your best weapons. Though against humans, we probably won't need them. As the team prepared their gear, Vlorn approached Krozek privately. This mission will not be what you expect, he warned. Humans have a saying. Appearances deceive. Remember that on Erebus. Krozek dismissed these concerns as superstition. How dangerous could 6 humans possibly be against the galaxy's deadliest hunters? He would soon find out. The mercenary ship landed in a clearing on Erebus during the moon's brief night cycle. Purple lightning flashed across the sky every few minutes, illuminating the dense alien forest around them. The air smelled of metal and ozone. Electrical storms will interfere with our advanced systems, Tick-Ticks announced, her antennae twitching as she analyzed the atmosphere. Communications will work only at short range. Targeting systems will be unreliable. Krozek grunted. We have our natural abilities. That's all we need against humans. The team unloaded their gear while Morokai, the reptilian tracker, sampled the air with his forked tongue. I have their scent, he hissed, yellow eyes narrowing. They passed here 3 days ago. Vlorn studied the ground with his 4 eyes. They're not trying to hide their tracks. Of course not, Krozek said. They don't know we're coming. Deska, the Valkyrie assassin whose skin shifted colors like a chameleon, pointed toward a ridge in the distance. Their base camp should be there, near the old mining facility. Direct path would be through that valley. They began their hunt as Erebus's white sun rose, casting strange shadows through the twisted trees. Morokai led them following the humans' trail. But after 2 hours, Vlorn called for a halt. This makes no sense, the gray-skinned Meraxi warrior said. Look at their path. The team gathered around a holographic map Tick-Ticks projected. They're taking the most difficult route, Vlorn continued, through dangerous terrain, avoiding the easy paths. Krozek clicked his mandibles. Humans are not known for their intelligence. No, Tick-Ticks disagreed, her insectoid head tilting. This is deliberate. They're moving from cover to cover, always with escape routes. Urgath, the hulking 4-meter-tall creature, let out a low rumble. Let them run where they want. Nothing escapes me once I begin the chase. The mercenaries continued following the human trail until midday, when they reached a narrow canyon. Their footprints lead directly through, Morokai reported. Krozek studied the canyon. It was the perfect place for an ambush. But the humans weren't here. They had simply passed through. Sren, Krozek ordered, scout ahead. The gaseous entity slipped from its containment suit, becoming a barely visible mist that flowed into the canyon. Minutes passed before Sren reformed, sliding back into its suit. Clear, came the whispered report, but strange marks on the walls and ground. Move in, Krozek commanded. Deska, take high position. Urgath and Vlorn with me in front. Tick-Ticks and Morokai in middle. Sren, rear guard. They entered the canyon in formation, weapons ready. Halfway through, Deska suddenly called down from her perch on the canyon wall. Movement ahead. Humans. Krozek saw them too. 2 figures running away at the canyon's exit, about 200 meters ahead. After them, he ordered. Urgath charged forward, his heavy footsteps shaking the ground. Krozek and Vlorn followed close behind. They had covered half the distance when Vlorn suddenly shouted, "Stop! It's His warning came too late. The ground beneath Urgath collapsed, revealing the deep pit lined with sharpened metal stakes. The massive alien fell with a roar of pain. At the same moment, thin wires hidden among the rocks snapped tight across the path, slicing into Krozek's leg armor. Primitive traps. Krozek snarled, stumbling. A thunderous explosion rocked the canyon as hidden charges detonated in the walls. Rock and debris rained down. Sren's containment suit was crushed under a boulder, the gaseous entity dispersing into the air with a final wail. From high ledges on both sides of the canyon, small objects fell among the mercenaries. They exploded into blinding light and deafening sound. While the aliens reeled from the sensory assault, precise projectiles struck Morokai in the neck and eyes. The reptilian tracker collapsed, dark blood pooling beneath him. "Retreat!" Vlorn shouted over the chaos. The surviving mercenaries fled back the way they had come, carrying their wounded. When they finally reached safety in the forest, Krozek's rage was cold and deadly. "Two of us dead," he hissed, "from primitive traps and projectile weapons." "Those weren't real humans we saw," Vlorn said, cleaning a wound on his arm. "Just jackets stuffed with plant matter on simple pulling mechanisms." Tix was examining one of the projectiles she had extracted from a tree near where she had been standing. Primitive but effective. Metal fragments propelled by chemical explosions. Bullets, Vlorn named them. An ancient human weapon. They're using old technology because it works in these electrical storms. Krozek's compound eyes fixed on the distant ridge where the human camp supposedly waited. "Their path through the forest," he said slowly, understanding dawning. "It wasn't random or stupid. They were baiting us. They knew someone would come." Vlorn nodded grimly. "I told you about humans. They evolved as persistence hunters, creatures that chase prey until it collapses from exhaustion. But when they become the hunted, they are something else entirely," Krozek finished. Krozek, whose species relied on logical thinking and clear hierarchies, couldn't comprehend this concept. No species thinks that way. "Humans do," Vlorn said quietly. "That's what makes them dangerous. You can't predict what they'll do because often they don't know themselves until they do it." The mercenaries took turns keeping watch through the night. Krozek was awakened for his shift by Vlorn, who looked troubled. "Something wrong?" Krozek asked. "Deska went to scout the perimeter 2 hours ago. She hasn't returned." Krozek stood immediately. "Wake Tix. We'll find her." But they didn't find Deska. The color-shifting assassin had vanished without a trace. No blood, no signs of struggle. She was simply gone. When they returned to their camp at dawn, they found something new, a small metal object sitting in the center of their sight. It was a human timepiece, stopped at exactly midnight. "How did they get this here?" Krozek demanded. "We were gone less than an hour." Vlorn picked up the timepiece carefully. "It's a message. They could have killed us in our sleep. They want us to know that." Krozek stared at the human camp in the distance. The humans were calmly eating breakfast, as if nothing had happened. "We're not the hunters anymore," Tix said softly. "We're the prey. We need to move," Krozek ordered as the alien sun climbed higher in the sky. "This position is compromised." The 3 remaining mercenaries, Krozek, Vlorn, and Tix, gathered their equipment quickly. 4 of their team were now gone, either dead or missing. What had started as a simple hunt had become a nightmare. They headed deeper into the forest, away from the human camp. Purple leaves crunched under their feet, despite their best efforts to move silently. "Our long-range weapons are useless in these electrical storms," Vlorn said, checking his sidearm. "And our armor's power systems are failing." Krozek felt naked without his energy shield. For the first time in his long career, he felt something new crawling through his insides. Fear. "Tix, can you track the humans' movements?" he asked. The insectoid genius tapped at her portable scanner. "Negative. They're using old technology. No digital signatures to follow." "How can they be ahead of us?" Vlorn wondered. "They're soft-bodied creatures. They need sleep, food, rest. They're human special forces," Tix replied. "Selected from billions of their kind for specific traits. They can go days without proper sleep, surviving on micro-naps. They can function despite injuries that would incapacitate most species." Krozek clicked his mandibles. "Every species has weaknesses. We need to find theirs." They made camp near a small stream as Erebus' sun began to set. The constant electrical storms intensified at night, making the sky flash with purple lightning every few seconds. The air smelled of ozone and something else. Something wrong. "Do you smell that?" Lorne asked suddenly. Before Krozek could respond, a high-pitched whistle cut through the air. All three mercenaries dropped to the ground as something small exploded overhead, releasing a cloud of yellow gas. "Smoke bomb," Tick-Ticks warned, her voice distorted through her breathing apparatus. Another whistle, another explosion. This time the cloud was red, then blue. Soon the entire area was filled with colorful smoke, making it impossible to see more than a few steps in any direction. "It's not toxic," Tick-Ticks reported, analyzing the particles. "It's just smoke." "Then what's the point?" Krozek demanded. The answer came in the form of strange noises, cracking branches, rustling leaves, whispered voices, all around them, impossible to pinpoint in the multicolored haze. "They're all around us," Lorne said, his four eyes darting in different directions. "No," Tick-Ticks corrected. "Audio analysis suggests recorded sounds played through multiple small devices. They're creating an illusion of numbers." As if to confirm her theory, human laughter echoed through the forest, first from one direction, then another, then seemingly everywhere at once. "Psychological warfare," Lorne muttered. The smoke finally cleared after an hour, but the strange sounds continued through the night. None of the mercenaries slept. They sat back to back, weapons ready, jumping at every noise. When morning came, they found small devices attached to trees all around their camp, simple sound projectors powered by chemical batteries. "Primitive but effective," Tick-Ticks admitted, examining one of the devices. Krozek was growing angry. "Enough games. We are elite hunters, not scared younglings." "Are we still hunters?" Lorne asked quietly. "Or have we become the hunted?" They moved on, following a route that would take them to higher ground. Maybe there, Krozek thought, they could regain the advantage. Around midday, they found a clearing where they could rest briefly. Lorne took first watch, while Krozek and Tick-Ticks examined their maps. "We're being herded," Tick-Ticks suddenly realized, her antennae twitching rapidly. "Look at our path since landing." She projected a holographic map showing their route. What had seemed like random movements now formed a clear pattern. They were being pushed toward a specific area. "It's a killing zone," Krozek said, feeling his blood run cold. A twig snapped nearby. Lorne spun, weapon raised, but saw nothing. "There," he shouted, firing at a shadow that moved between trees. The shadow stepped into the light. A human, female, smaller than Krozek had expected. Her face was painted with dark patterns that broke up her features. She carried an old-style projectile weapon in her hands. Lorne fired again, but the human was already moving, faster than seemed possible for her species. She disappeared into the trees. "After her," Krozek ordered. They gave chase, following the human through the dense forest. She stayed just ahead of them, always visible but never quite in range. "Wait," Tick-Ticks called. "This doesn't." Her warning came too late. The ground beneath them collapsed. Another pit trap, but larger than the first. All three mercenaries fell, tumbling down a steep slope. When Krozek regained consciousness, he found himself in a narrow ravine. Lorne lay nearby, one leg bent at an unnatural angle. Tick-Ticks was attempting to repair damage to her exoskeleton. Above them, standing at the edge of the pit, 6 humans looked down. Their leader, the female they had chased, smiled. "Welcome to our killing zone," she called down. "We've been expecting you." For the first time in his career, Krozek seriously considered abandoning a contract. "Are you going to kill us?" Krozek called up to the human standing at the edge of the pit. The human leader, a female with short dark hair and eyes that reminded Krozek of a predator, studied them for a moment. "Not yet," she finally said. "That would be too easy." With that, the humans disappeared from view. Krozek turned to his remaining team. Lorne was setting his broken leg with a portable medkit, hissing in pain. Tick-Ticks was checking her damaged systems. "They're playing with us," Vlorn said through clenched teeth. "No," Tick-Ticks corrected. "If they wanted us dead, we would be. They have another purpose." Krozek examined the walls of the ravine. They were steep but climbable for someone with his 4 arms and strong exoskeleton. He began to ascend, digging his claws into the dirt. "Do not follow them," Vlorn warned. "It's exactly what they want." "I'm not leaving you," Krozek replied. "I'm finding an easier way out." At the top of the ravine, Krozek found no sign of the humans. He secured a rope and helped his companions climb out. Vlorn could barely walk, leaning on a makeshift crutch. "We need shelter," Tick-Ticks said. "My scanners show an abandoned structure 2 kilometers east." They moved slowly because of Vlorn's injury. The purple sun was setting by the time they reached the structure, an old mining facility left behind when Erebus was first explored decades ago. The building's metal walls were rusted, but it offered protection from the electrical storms that were intensifying with nightfall. Inside, they found simple rooms with old equipment covered in dust. "Check for traps," Krozek ordered. They searched carefully, finding nothing suspicious. The facility seemed truly abandoned. "We can defend this position," Krozek said. "One entrance, solid walls." Vlorn collapsed onto a bench, extending his injured leg. "You still think we can complete this contract?" Before Krozek could answer, Tick-Ticks called from another room. "I found something." They joined her in what appeared to be a control center. Old screens and computers lined the walls. Most were dead, but Tick-Ticks had managed to activate one. "This facility has its own power source," she explained, her fingers moving rapidly over the controls. "And a database. I'm accessing historical records." "What good are old records?" Krozek asked. "Knowledge is power," Tick-Ticks replied. "I'm searching for information on humans." The screen flickered, showing text in an old galactic standard language. Tick-Ticks read quickly, her antennae twitching with excitement. "Fascinating," she whispered. "This changes everything." "What does?" Vlorn asked. "Human warfare history," Tick-Ticks said. "Most species evolved fighting predators or territorial rivals of different species. Humans are different." She displayed images on the screen. Humans fighting other humans with increasingly complex weapons through thousands of years of their history. "They spent their entire evolution fighting primarily themselves," she continued. "They developed warfare techniques against enemies who thought exactly like them." Krozek stared at the images. Humans killing humans in massive numbers. Battlefield after battlefield. Weapon after weapon. This created a recursive arms race of strategy and counter-strategy that no other species experienced. Tick-Ticks explained. Every time humans developed a new tactic, other humans would develop a counter-tactic. Then, a counter-counter tactic. For thousands of years. Vlorn's 4 eyes widened in understanding. "They're not just warriors. They're the product of an evolutionary crucible we never endured. And their special forces are the best of the best," Tick-Ticks added. "Selected for exactly the traits needed to defeat enemies like us." Krozek felt something he rarely experienced, a growing respect for their opponents. "How do we beat them?" he asked. "I'm not sure we can," Tick-Ticks admitted. "At least not in their element on their terms." A sudden noise from outside silenced them. They listened carefully. Footsteps on metal. Someone was on the roof. "They found us," Vlorn whispered. Tick-Ticks was still scanning through the database when she suddenly froze. "They knew we would come here. Look." The screen showed a message in common galactic language. "We LC Odmini to Station 12, Captain Rai VRA, and TAM, send your EJRDs. Meeting room 3, 1 Egoer. It's dated today," Tick-Ticks said in disbelief. "They knew we would find this place," Vlorn said. "Known we would access this computer. They're 10 steps ahead of us," Krozek agreed. At that moment, Their communicators activated simultaneously. A human voice, the female leader, spoke clearly. "This is Captain Rivera of Human Special Forces Team Delta. We know you're receiving this. You have two options. Meet me in room 3 for a discussion, or continue this hunt to its inevitable conclusion. Your choice, mercenary." Krozek looked at his injured companions. For the first time, he saw no clear path to victory. "I'll meet with her," he decided. "Alone." Vlorn grabbed his arm. "It's a trap." "Of course it is," Krozek replied. "But what choice do we have?" "The truth about why you were really brought here," Rivera replied. "And it's not what you think." Krozek considered his options. His pride demanded he continue the hunt, but his survival instinct, honed over decades of dangerous work, told him something else was happening here. Something bigger than a simple contract. "I'm listening," he finally said. Rivera nodded, satisfied. "Good, because there's a third group on Erebus right now. They've been watching both of us, and their plans for your kind and mine are far worse than anything we've done to each other." Captain Rivera activated a small device on the table. A holographic map of Erebus appeared, with 3 locations marked in different colors. "Blue is your landing site," she explained. "Green is our camp. Red is the third party I mentioned." Krozek leaned forward, studying the red marker. It showed a location deep in the mountains, about 30 kilometers from their current position. "Who are they?" he asked. "Galactic Defense Corporation," Rivera replied. "GDC for short. The largest private military company in 3 sectors. And technically, my employer." Krozek's mandibles clicked in confusion. "You work for them, yet you speak of them as enemies." "It's complicated," Rivera said. "My team and I are official military, contracted to GDC for training exercises. But we discovered something disturbing." She changed the hologram to show a document, the contract that had brought Krozek's team to Erebus. "This contract wasn't just a test," Rivera continued. "It was data collection. GDC is developing a new combat program using both human and alien tactics. They wanted to observe how elite mercenaries like your team would fare against special forces like mine." "For what purpose?" Krozek asked. "To create the perfect soldiers," Rivera said grimly. "Or rather, the perfect killing algorithm. They're developing combat drones that combine the best traits of all species. Your strength and exoskeleton. Vlorn's multiple vision capabilities. Tic-Tic's processing power. And human adaptability and tactical thinking." Krozek felt a cold realization wash over him. "We were not hunters or prey. We were lab specimens." "Exactly," Rivera nodded. "They'd done this before, 9 times that we know of. Different mercenary teams, different special forces units, all observed and recorded to improve their combat algorithms." Krozek stood, anger pulsing through his body. "Where is the rest of my team? I want to see them." Rivera touched her communicator. "Sergeant Jenkins, bring the others to the main facility." 20 minutes later, Krozek was reunited with his team. Vlorn limped in with his injured leg properly treated. Tic-Tics followed, her damaged systems repaired. Behind them came Deska, looking unharmed but wary. 2 human soldiers carried a containment unit that held Sren's gaseous form, slowly regenerating. "You're all alive," Krozek said with relief. "Thanks to the humans," Vlorn admitted reluctantly. "They could have killed us many times." The human team entered as well. 5 soldiers of varying sizes, but similar determined expressions. They nodded respectfully to the mercenaries. "I've explained the situation to your team," Rivera said, "and now I'm asking for your help." "Why would we help you?" Krozek demanded. "Because if GDC succeeds, both our kinds become obsolete," Rivera answered. "And because they've gone beyond observation. Their next phase involves capturing specimens, living examples of the best warriors from each species." Tic-Tic's antennae twitched nervously. "Specimens? For what purpose?" "Neural mapping," Rivera said. They want to download your combat instincts directly into their machines. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. The corporation has a research facility in those mountains, Rivera continued, pointing to the hologram. We need to destroy their data before they perfect their algorithm. All recordings of our conflict must be eliminated. Krozek considered this information carefully. His team had been manipulated, used as test subjects without their knowledge. The thought ignited a rage inside him that burned hotter than Erebus's sun. If we help you, he finally said, what happens afterward? You walk away, Rivera promised, with full payment of your original contract, and with knowledge that might save other mercenaries from being used like this. Over the next few hours, humans and mercenaries worked together to plan their assault on the GDC facility. Krozek was surprised at how quickly the human soldiers adapted to working with aliens, treating them as equals despite their differences. During a break in planning, Krozek found himself standing watch alongside a young human soldier named Chen. The human was cleaning an ancient-looking projectile weapon by the light of Erebus's moons. Why do you use such primitive weapons? Krozek asked. Chen smiled. Reliability. This rifle design is over 500 years old. No electronics to fail in the storms. No power cells to drain. Just mechanical parts and chemical reactions. Adaptation, Krozek noted. Exactly, Chen replied. Captain calls it the refuse-to-lose mentality. What does that mean? Chen looked up at the stars. Throughout human history, we faced extinction many times. Those who gave up died. We're descended from the ones who didn't know when to quit. He paused. When everything logical says to stop fighting, humans keep going anyway. Krozek thought about this. His own species valued logical thinking and clear hierarchies. The concept of fighting beyond reason was foreign to him, yet he could see its value. A powerful trait, he admitted. Sometimes our only advantage, Chen agreed. As the human returned to cleaning his weapon, Krozek realized he was gaining insights that no contract payment could match, understanding of what made humans the most feared special forces in the galaxy. One standard year later, Krozek stood before the Mercenary Guild Council on Nexus Prime. The massive chamber was filled with the galaxy's most elite killers, veterans of countless battles, beings whose names inspired fear across multiple star systems. Krozek's purple chitinous armor bore new scars. One of his 4 arms was now a cybernetic replacement, the result of the battle at the GDC facility on Erebus. That fight had been brutal but successful. The corporation's data had been destroyed, their combat algorithm set back by years. I have called this gathering, Krozek began, his voice carrying through the chamber, to propose an addition to the official no-contract list. Murmurs spread through the crowd. The no-contract list was sacred to mercenaries, targets that guild members refused to accept jobs against. It included only a handful of entries, most of them protected by ancient treaties or considered too dangerous to approach. What target do you propose? Asked Vexorn, the ancient guild master whose scaled skin had faded from green to gray over centuries of warfare. Human Special Forces, Krozek answered. Silence fell over the assembly. Then came outbursts. Humans? Soft-bodied creatures. They're not even unified. They fight among themselves. Is this a joke? Krozek waited for the noise to subside. I faced human special forces on Erebus, 6 of them against 7 elite mercenaries, including myself. We lost. You stand here alive, someone pointed out. Because they chose to spare us, Krozek replied. They could have killed us many times over. He activated a holographic projector, showing images from the conflict, the canyon trap that claimed 2 of his team, the psychological warfare tactics, the mining facility where the truth was revealed. What you're seeing is only part of the story, Krozek continued. After this conflict, I fought alongside these humans against a common enemy. I witnessed their capabilities firsthand. He showed a final recording, footage of Captain Rivera's team infiltrating the heavily guarded GDC mountain facility. The humans moved with unnatural precision, communicating with subtle hand signals. They fought with a mix of advanced technology and primitive weapons, adapting instantly when systems failed. One sequence showed a human soldier continuing to fight despite a severe injury that would have incapacitated most species. Another showed their uncanny ability to anticipate enemy movements before they happened. They lacked the advantages evolution gave the rest of us, Krozek told the assembled elite killers. They can't breathe underwater or regrow limbs or see in the dark, but that disadvantage became their greatest weapon. He paced across the platform, making eye contact with as many guild members as possible. They come from a planet that tried to kill them every day. Their gravity is higher than most habitable worlds. Their temperature ranges are extreme. Their ecosystem is filled with toxins and predators. And their greatest enemies were always themselves. Tick-Ticks joined Krozek on the platform, her insectoid form moving with quick, precise steps. I analyze thousands of years of human warfare history, she said, her translator converting her clicks into words. Most species evolved to fight predators or territorial threats from different species. Humans spent 10,000 years perfecting the art of killing other humans. What does that matter? Asked a mercenary from the front row. It means, Vlorn answered, limping forward to join his companions, that they developed warfare against opponents who thought exactly like them. This created an evolutionary arms race of strategy and counter-strategy that no other species experienced. They learned to anticipate, to improvise, to endure, Krozek added. And their special forces are selected from billions for specific traits, the ones who continue fighting when logic says to surrender. The guild master leaned forward on his ancient chair. You truly believe they deserve a place on the no-contract list, alongside the guardian minds of Centauri and the void priests of Sector 9. I do, Krozek said firmly, not because they cannot be killed, anything can be killed, but because the cost is too high, and because they have earned our professional respect. Debate raged for hours. Many guild members argued against the proposal, citing human weaknesses and past victories against human forces. But Krozek, Vlorn, and Tick-Ticks countered every argument with evidence from their experience. Finally, the guild master called for a vote. By a narrow margin, human special forces were added to the no-contract list. 6 months later, a group of mercenaries gathered in the infamous Red Nebula bar on Station Zeta 9, the same bar where Krozek had received the Erebus contract 2 years earlier. A young Valkyrie assassin, new to the guild, approached a table of veterans. Is it true? She asked. No one will take contracts against humans. I've been offered triple the standard rate to eliminate a human team on Proxima I. The veterans exchanged glances. Then a battle-scarred Dralaxian pointed to a new plaque on the wall, one that had become common in mercenary guild halls across the galaxy. It showed the human special forces insignia with words beneath it. They evolved on a planet that tried to kill them every day. Then they spent 10,000 years trying to kill each other. What makes you think you can do better? The young Valkyrie looked confused. But they're just humans. An old mercenary whose species she didn't recognize chuckled softly. There's no such thing as just humans, Hid. Especially their special forces. Take the contract if you want. Your funeral won't be my problem. She looked around at the nodding veterans. You're all serious. What happened to make you fear them so much? The old mercenary signaled for another drink. Ask Krozek if you ever meet him. He'll tell you the whole story. Why alien mercenaries refuse contracts against human special forces.